My name is Fabian Brown, and it certainly is my pleasure, a distinct honor for me to guide your program this afternoon as your Director of Ceremonies. I am sure you're well aware that this afternoon is a very special occasion, the occasion of the National Medal for Science and Technology and Innovation. May I now invite you to stand for the national anthem. Thank you very much. Please be seated. And to bring the official welcome, I would now like to invite the Honorable Darrell Vaz, Minister of Science, Energy and Technology.
Thank you very much, Mr. Master of Ceremonies. Most Honorable Andrew Honis, Prime Minister, Dr. Olive Jean Burrows, Executive Director, NCST, Dr. Shara Watson, Executive Director, Scientific Research Council, board members, management and staff of the NCST and SRC, directors of the Ministry of Science, Energy and Technology, heads of agencies, the Honorable Robert Levy, Chairman of the National Foundation for Development of Science and Technology, Professor Ronald Young, Chief Judge, National Innovation Competition 2022, panel of judges, nominees, members of the media, ladies and gentlemen. So all persons who speak after me can just say, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome everyone as we recognize and celebrate excellence in the local scientific and technological community. I'm thrilled to continue the government's proud tradition of saluting scientific innovation and excellence through the National Innovation Awards. 17 years after its establishment in 2005, the National Medal for Science, Technology and Innovation is more important than ever, serving as an inspiration for the future scientists who will drive Jamaica's growth and development in the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics STEM field. This competition originated from a necessity to inspire, motivate, and support local innovators, promoting innovation and an appreciation for science and technology and its applications to daily life is a core component of the ministry's work, because we acknowledge how vital these matters are to national development. These innovations also serve the scientific community and the general population as they provide solutions to real challenges we face in our society. The role science and technology plays in today's world is crucial. Undoubtedly, how our society incorporates science and technology into business and daily life will help determine how well we compete on the international stage. It will also impact our ability to improve education, infrastructure, medicine, communications, and industry, all critical factors for development. This year's nominees are incredibly imaginative, and their dedication to their various fields is admirable. The quantity and quality of the application this year proves that although we have a long way to go in our STEM journey as a nation, we're on the right track. I'm delighted to note that we judged a wide selection of entries from 8 distinct categories this year: agriculture, food and agro-processing, education and popularization of science, technology and innovation, energy and energy efficiency, engineering and manufacturing, entertainment products, environmental sustainability and climate change, health and safety, and information and communications technology. These candidates, through their revolutionary ideas and inventions, represent the potential of our nation and signify the tremendous impact of investing in science and technology for our youth. Candidates, regardless of whether you walk away with an award, the effort and ingenuity you put forward into your entry holds value and should not be taken lightly. Additionally, your efforts to improve the quality of life for Jamaicans will never be forgotten. Jamaica is filled with talent and hard-working people dedicated to changing the status quo. As the government and the ministry make strides to expand STEM education among youth, the nominees serve as an inspiration for what can be done by Jamaicans for Jamaicans. Let me congratulate all who have entered, and as I said before, your entry is well received. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. We know that we are here at this time, lunchtime, and so I would imagine that most persons are waiting to enjoy what is prepared. But just before we do that, may I invite the Honorable Robert Levy to bring grace.
Thank you very much, sir. I'm honored to do this, but it's very difficult. I think even the Prime Minister would have a problem asking to pray for the opposition. Mr. Hendrickson owns the hotel and owns the other chicken company, and I'm going to pray for other chicken apart from the Best Dressed Chicken. Very difficult, Mr. Prime Minister, very. But I also want to just also, if I may have the privilege of praying for our scientists, that God would continue to instill them with knowledge and invention that changes our life. So, Lord, we just come before you this evening. Thank you for this occasion. We lift up the scientific community to you and ask you that you'd continue to instill them with knowledge, foresight, inventions that impact our lives. And then, Lord, we just thank you for what has been provided. We pray we're able to digest it easily and properly. And we just thank you for all that you have done for us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Thank you very much to the Honorable Robert Levy. You know, I was going to introduce the menu, but I think I will allow you to read it after hearing that. So, may I now invite you to, well, I'm sure you may have already read the menu, but it's now going to be that we're going to feed you. You're going to enjoy the meal that is going to be provided. But while you enjoy the meal, I will invite you to affix your gaze onto the screen, as there will be some amount of engagement there while you engage at the table. So, ladies and gentlemen, enjoy.
Equipment and tools that demonstrate originality, have the potential for commercialization, and are beneficial to industry or the general public. In order to recognize, reward, and celebrate innovators in Jamaica, the National Commission on Science and Technology announced the call for applications in May 2022. The competition aims to promote innovation and an appreciation for the significance of science and technology and its application to daily life and the development of Jamaica. It was not only geared towards the scientific community, but it also targeted the general population to present innovative solutions to challenges faced in a number of areas. The call for applications was open to individuals, groups, and companies. Applicants were invited to submit their innovations for consideration under the following 8 categories: agriculture, food and agro-processing, education and popularization of science, technology, and innovation, energy and energy efficiency, engineering and manufacturing, entertainment products, environmental sustainability or climate change, health and safety, information and communication technology. The competition had several general criteria for entry in addition to specific criteria for the individual categories. Approximately 40 applications were submitted, and they were reviewed by a chief judge and 21 were shortlisted. The shortlisted innovators were interviewed by a panel of judges with competence in the individual categories, and later in the program today, the category winners and overall innovator will be announced. Just before we get to that stage, all the shortlisted innovators will be displaying their innovations and giving us some fun facts about them. Some innovations were entered in multiple categories.
The e-port manager is a device particularly designed to improve the overall efficiency in homes and in commercial areas. Alright, so this gives a basic view of the internal of the e-port manager and its components that work together to efficiently increase the product lifespan and the protection of the actual overall home and the units. The system also incorporates solar attaching units and the output port that distribute to each location inside the home and also in the surrounding area. The innovation will benefit the public by allowing a more efficient solution to lowering electricity bill, increased protection, and overall efficiency on appliances, and also increasing appliance lifespan.
This timer is innovative in many ways. Number one, it is designed specifically to operate on 50 Hertz. It also has a 3-minute feature to protect whatever equipment is connected to it. And it also has some metal oxide resistor to protect it from lightning and other surges along the line. This timer is designed to cut your electricity bill. In fact, if it is connected to a refrigerator, you will save about $1,900 per month. It's easy to use, there's no wiring necessary. All you do is plug the timer into an outlet, a wall outlet, and then you will program the timer for the clock time of the day. And then you will program the timer to come on at say 6 in the morning and offered about 10 or 11 o'clock. That's about 7 hours. And with a 7-hour combination, you can save a lot of money. This is that to work on many other devices, like your lighting, your pump. In fact, it could be used to switch on your TV, anything that you want. It's very reliable because it is designed to work on the frequency of Jamaica and voltage.
Water cooler management brings efficiency to water coolers in homes and also in the commercial area. There's so much more that can be achieved in terms of efficiency by allowing the unit to run more efficient and also contacting the service provider so that you can have a streamline in terms of supplying water to the end users. So this is the actual water cooler management platform. How it works is that the water cooler is placed on the platform and the cooler is also plugged into the platform and it is protected and monitored. The unit works by monitoring the actual water and ensure that information is relayed back to the user and to also to the supplier and increasing efficiency of the overall water cooling system.
Pickaway is a convenient mobile app that connects customers to professionals all over Jamaica. The Pickaway app is easy to sign up and sign in, just a few clicks. Once signed up, you can search for any service professional you need, ranging from plumbers, electrician, mechanic, lawyers, doctors, and more. You can manually search by our main categories. We have over 100 categories, so nobody is left out. Or you can manually search for any professional you wish by typing in the name. The best thing about Pickaway, your payments are secured. So once payment is made, we hold the payment until you are satisfied with your professional and you're satisfied with the job done. The Pickaway app is a product of Jamaica. The app creates a medium for citizens to safely locate and book professionals all over Jamaica to have their task done. The app also creates opportunities for professionals to acquire additional jobs and also with their apprenticeship program, unskilled citizens of Jamaica can be trained through the Pickaway app.
Swiss is a simple but powerful application that shows you how safe anywhere is in the entire world. So this is the Swiss app. You have the ability to see how safe anywhere is in the world using it. Right now, it is showing me the Swiss index for my location, in this case which is Trafalgar Road, and the safety index is at 9.32. That's a low risk, that means it's a pretty safe area. You have the ability to navigate and select anywhere and click. Once you click, Swiss will find the Swiss index for that specific location. So right now it found the Swiss index for Johns Lane in downtown Kingston, which reflects a 30 Swiss index. That means that it's a high-risk area. So we also give tips, general tips on Jamaica itself. These tips also apply to anywhere else in the world. We have country-specific tips. So if you navigate, if you go to a different country, we give you tips in the app. You also can see all the articles that made up the Swiss index for that specific location. So you can see each of these articles were news articles on Johns Lane, and we read the articles using our algorithms and see if it's good or bad news using artificial intelligence.
The non-invasive bread food roaster allows for said bread food to be roasted at the same time. This is just a miniature version of the non-invasive breadfruit roaster. Here we have the motor, and inside we have at least 2 breadfruits shown pinned together by rods. And this allows for the even rotation of the breadfruit over a source of fire. In this case, we are using a normal cooking gas here, and we are using the burners which we have normally, but we have different types of burner. We have a long burner, so we have that unit over there is a better representative of what we are looking at for multiple roasting of breadfruits. You can roast 6, 7 more breadfruit at any one time, and therefore for food safety, this is helpful. This is also not only food safety for Jamaica, but it has an economic value because you can roast breadfruit and export.
The wellness system is a solution strategically formulated for the health, growth, and development of livestock, specifically designed for laborers. This technology is capable of real-time layer monitoring and data analyzing. Okay, so this is the main control for the wellness system that actually input all the information that it relays from the sensor back to the control. The user can access information on the control, and they can input information on the control as well. Okay, so this is the actual size of the sensor. The sensor is actually out of this open now. The sensor will be attached to the thigh of each of the laborers and relays back information to the monitor that you saw earlier. The user can then access information to know the wellness of each bird, and the system will make a decision from there. The benefit of this solution is to identify the population of birds that are not producing, so that farmers can increase product efficiency.
So this is breadfruit peeler. So the breadfruit is placed in this compartment. At the bottom of this compartment, we have the blade to peel the breadfruit. It's innovative design, grating blade with a slight descent, so that the breadfruit keeps rolling back in the center of the blade as it place. As you can see, the machine is a small machine. Portable, simple design, but very efficient. So,
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is where you really need to enjoy the company at your table. In very short order, we will proceed with the content of the event, because this is all a working lunch. So we're being very innovative with our time. Ladies and gentlemen, while you enjoy the lunch that is provided, may I engage you and ask that you do a little bit of multitasking. Larger with your eyes for some of you. For some of you, you're going to have to move. So at this point, we're going to start with one of many awards that's going to be given out today. So we're going to invite the judges to come forward and give the judges' report, and then following that will be the actual award presentation. We're starting with the young scientist, and at this point I'm going to invite Dr. Cheryl Watson to come forward to give the judges' report. She will continue on to present the award.
I'm following my minister's lead, all protocols observed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great pleasure to speak to such a distinguished audience this afternoon and to share the judges' report from the SRC Young Scientist Technologist Award from our 7th biannual conference on science and technology, held under the theme, Harnessing the Power of Research and Innovation to Drive Economic Resilience. The conference occurred over the past 2.5 days here at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel, and we are very happy with the slate of nominees that we had this year. And just to give you a quick overview of the Young Scientist Technologist Award, it is one of the initiatives of the Scientific Research Council, which aims to fulfill its mandate to promote science and technology as drivers for development. Through the Young Scientist Technologist Award, the SRC wishes to recognize young scientists and technologists for excellence of their work and potential contribution to Jamaica's and indeed the world's development. The award was started 32 years ago in 1990 and aims to provide an opportunity for early career scientists/technologists, as we know that technological and scientific revolution underpin improvement in every facet of our society, especially in health, education, and infrastructure. And this year, the presentations were along those lines. It is therefore important that we have programs such as the Young Scientist Award as an encouragement and support to the next generation of change makers who would lead us into the future and drive economic resilience. A quick overview of the process. Nominations were opened in September of this year. We received 8 great nominations, and from which the internal team at the SRC had the very difficult task of shortlisting 4 finalists who were invited to deliver presentations at our conference, and this was done just yesterday afternoon. To be eligible for the award, you must be a Jamaican scientist or a non-national who have been doing research in Jamaica for at least the past 10 years. You must be duly nominated by an academic or research institution. You must hold an advanced or terminal qualifications and must also, or you could be awaiting defense of such advanced degree. Selection criteria. The winner was selected based on the following: originality, creativity, inventiveness, innovativeness, as well as the potential for social, economic value of their work. They must be able to contribute to Jamaica's development and have evidence of peer-reviewed publication and give an excellent oral presentation. The 4 shortlisted nominees were Dr. Ricardo Anderson, a computer scientist who has developed a program to help better the academic outcome of both students and teachers. Dr. Roxanne Stennett-Brown, a biochemist who created a program that can provide early warning to mosquito population boost and the likelihood of increased risk of this disease outbreak caused by said mosquitoes. Dr. Peter Nelson, an organic chemist creating diagnostic and analytical tools from systems and compounds that are created that have application for both health and productive industries. And Dr. Kimberly Foster, a biochemist whose work on cancer and finding potential drugs from Jamaica's medicinal plants. All presentations were great, and it makes us immensely proud that the future of science in Jamaica is indeed secure. However, we had to select just one person to be conferred with the title of the SRC Young Scientist Technologist Award of 2022. The winner was selected unanimously, I must say, by our panel of 4 judges, Mr. Carlington Burrell, CEO of Caribbean Innovation Center, Dr. Twain Gardner, Principal Director of Science in the Ministry of MSET, Ms. Stephanie Reese from DBJ, and myself. The winner today will walk away with a coveted trophy, a tiny cash prize, and will also join a powerful global network of influencers in science and technology. The award, we hope, will open doors and create a springboard into the next stage of their career. We would like to say it came down to a difference of 0.06%. And no, that number does not represent the separation in scores, but the actual percentage of GDP that we invest in research and development. And I think you can agree that must be changed. We can turn, our young scientists demonstrated that we can turn our hands, make fashion, and that every mickle indeed make a muckle. And with very little, we can produce a lot and produce greatness. In this instance, they have produced a lot of hope and practical solutions using science, technology to innovate, and will certainly help to drive the economic change and help develop our nation. Mr. Prime Minister and Minister, just before I announce the name of the winner, I must appeal to the audience here, since I have the opportunity to do so, that we are relying on not just your support, but also your resources, your network, for you to pledge all that you can to ensure that our young scientists will be able to commercialize their innovation. That is where the gap exists. Ladies and gentlemen, I have said enough, but permit me to say just a little bit more. And these are just some of the comments from the judges on the winner. Most advanced towards immediate application and commercialization, innovation has a wide potential for impact. Excellent presentation, good innovation, very practical and bankable idea. Excellent innovation. The research is extensive and have significant potential to support the improvement of patient care and commercial scale as well as domestic use. And last but not least, excellent innovation, great presentation with room to revolutionize analytical services. Ladies and gentlemen, it brings me pleasure to announce the SRC Young Scientist Technologist of 2022, Dr. They're all called doctors, by the way. Peter Nelson.
Congratulations. May I invite you another round of applause? And at this time, may I now invite Professor Ronald Young to give the judges' report for the innovation competition. Professor? Yes.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of what I had to say has been said, you know. On May the 10th, 2022-23, at the sectoral debate, the Honorable Minister of Science, Energy and Technology, Daryl Vaz, announced the revival of the National Medal and Innovation Awards to recognize and celebrate scientific creativity and innovativeness in the form of products, processes, equipment, tools, and devices that demonstrate originality and are beneficial to Jamaica's industry and or society. The National Innovation Competition, as the Minister said, started back in 2005, but from 2006 has been offered biennially, with the last occasion being in 2018. And it was suspended in 2020 as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The National Innovation Awards aim to encourage innovation and foster appreciation of the importance of science, technology, and innovation in attaining Vision 2030 targets of a Jamaica with a prosperous economy, an efficient and secure energy base, an internationally competitive, technology-enabled society, and a healthy, sustainable environment. The NCST, following the Minister's declaration, in collaboration with the Ministry, with JIPO and the SRC, subsequently invited individuals and organizations, not just from the scientific community, but from all sectors of society, to submit their innovative solutions to national needs and issues for consideration under 8 categories which the Minister mentioned, and so which I don't have to go through again. Okay, these have been mentioned a couple of times already. The applications were required to satisfy the criteria that, 1, they should be already in use or have practically demonstrable functionality. They should perform a function that makes life easier and or improves the quality of life. They should display creativity and demonstrate the economic use of materials that are available locally or are indigenous to Jamaica. They should be original. They should be an original or a unique adaptation of existing gadgets, equipment, concepts, processes, products, or services with social or economic benefit. They should have realized or at least have the potential for commercialization. They should be safe for use and environmentally friendly. They must not infringe on any intellectual property rights or legal statutes. To ensure the latter criterion, all applications are initially screened by JIPO, the Intellectual Property Office. A total of 37 submissions were obtained by the closing date. So, as you can see, science and innovation are alive and wellish. We could do better. We should do better. We will do better. You know, no, I mustn't stray from my script. But a chief judge, that would be me, was appointed with responsibility for coordinating the evaluation of the submissions, ranking the applications in order of perceived merit, and helping to appoint the lead judges for each of the various categories, the 8 categories that were mentioned, and summarizing the final results. The lead judges in each category assisted in establishing a panel of at least 3 judges comprising distinguished experts in category-related fields. The panels of judges were as follows. In agriculture, food and agro-processing, Dr. Elizabeth Johnson was the lead judge with Petronia Colley and Ainsworth Riley. For education and popularization of science, technology, and innovation, Ricardo Allen was the lead judge with Jerry Wright, Yvonne Chin Irving, and Carlisle Grant. Under energy and energy efficiency, Dr. Gary Jackson was the lead judge with Dr. Christopher Burgess and Mr. Joseph Williams. Under engineering and manufacturing, Mr. Lyndon Nugent was the lead judge with Mr. Owen Gunning, Dr. Andre Gordon, and Mrs. Diana Blake Bennett, all engineers. For entertainment products, Dr. Ashley Hamilton Taylor was the lead judge with Ms. Lorna Green and Mr. Chad Nehemiah. Under environmental sustainability, stroke climate change, Dr. Eleanor Jones was the lead judge with Dr. Ruth Pratap Singh, Dr. Eleanor Terrylong, and Mr. John Carberry. Under health and safety, Professor John Lindo was the lead judge with Dr. Camille Ann Thomas Rodriguez and Dr. Simone Badal. Under ICT, Information and Communication Technology, Ingrid Riley was the lead judge with Janice Dakers Forbes and Trevor Forrest. Each panel was asked to select 3 of the strongest applicants in their category for interviews, including functional demonstrations where possible and detailed numerical evaluation of their innovations were made using a standard evaluation form, giving scores out of 100%. In fact, the numbers of submissions in each category and the numbers shortlisted were as follows. Under agriculture, food and agro-processing, we had 5 entries, of which the judges shortlisted for interviews 3. Under education and popularization of science, technology, and innovation, we had 3 entries, from which the judges shortlisted 2. Under energy and energy efficiency, there were 6 entries, and 3 were shortlisted. Under engineering and manufacturing, there were also 6 entries, and 3 were selected for interviews. Under entertainment products, there were only 3 entries, and 2 were selected for interviews. Under environmental sustainability and climate change, there were all of 8 entries, and of these, 4 were selected for interviews. You can see our judges were a little unruly. Information and communication technology had 4 entries, and 2 were shortlisted. Under health and safety, there were just 2 entries, and of those 2, the judges in this category, health and safety, decided to interview both applicants, but deemed that neither submission satisfied the need for evidence to support the claims being made for the invention, so they weren't considered. Based upon the qualitative evaluations and the quantitative scores, worthy winners in all categories and a clear overall winner were identified. But I'm told that naming of these is above my pay grade, so I'm not to do that. Overall, the judges felt that many more and better quality submissions could be obtained by earlier and more aggressive advertising, and that the application forms should more explicitly require provision of evidence showing proof of concept to ensure that submissions were more than just good ideas, but could show upfront substantiated functionality. I wish finally to thank all the judges for their conscientious service, to commend all the applicants, and to congratulate the winners, and to thank the NCST and Dr. Olive Jean Burroughs for allowing me the privilege of serving as Chief Judge for this most significant national effort, which I hope will continue and grow stronger with each reiteration. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Professor, as you thank your judges, may I take the opportunity to thank you for chief judging. So at this point, may I invite Dr. Burrows to come forward to make the presentation of certificates recognizing our innovators. We call Mr. Rupert Riley. Oh, yes, please. Thank you.
Wow. Okay. All right.
We call Mr. Paul Jackson. EduHub Company Limited. Oh, education. Thank you. Fonseca Jack Stewart for energy. May I invite Dr. Gardner? Right. May I invite Consolidated Environment Research Laboratory for Engineering and Manufacturing. Jovan Miller for entertainment. Carl Duncan, Information Communication Technology. Infinitech, Digital Innovation, Information Communication Technology. Thank you very much. Now we move into the actual categories. As you would have heard, we're going now to recognize the sponsors for each of the categories, and we're going to invite the sponsor representative to come forward to make these presentations. So from the Development Bank of Jamaica, may we invite Mr. Giovanni Maddox, Technical Officer of the Big E program, to come forward. Oh, yes. Presenting in the category of Agriculture, Food and Agro-Processing. And the winner is Rupert Riley. Congratulations, Mr. Riley.
Thank you.
You're welcome. May I invite the sponsor, the representative for the sponsor, BMR Energy, Ms. Ava Tomlin, Regional Director, to come forward for this presentation. And BMR is presenting in the category of energy and energy efficiency. And the winner is Fonseca Jack Stewart. Development Bank of Jamaica sponsoring in the category of engineering and manufacturing. May I invite Ms. Natalie Doyen, Technical Coordinator in the Big E program, to come forward, please. And the winner is Nkrumah Fong, Consolidated Environment Research Laboratory. We now call the sponsor Petrojam Limited, represented by Mr. Telroy Morgan, Manager Strategic Planning and Business Support. And they're sponsoring in the category of environmental, sustainability, and climate change. And the winner is Paul Jackson. And there's yet another category that our sponsor is Petrojam. This time represented here by Mr. Winston Watson, General Manager. And this category is Information and Communication Technology. Mr. Watson will be presenting to the winner, Carl Duncan. Our sponsor, Sagicor Group Limited. May we invite Ms. Opal Donaldson-Cross, Assistant Vice President, Data and Analytics, to come forward. And Mrs. Donaldson-Cross would be joined by the Honorable Minister Darrell Vaz, as we recognize the overall innovator, and I should let you know that there's actually yet another award sponsored by Digicel, but the Digicel representative is not quite here as yet. This is why this particular award, which is the Education and Popularization of Science and Technology and Innovation. So, which is that? Okay, so we want to do entertainment. All right, Minister, can I just ask you to stand by, because I'm understanding that DBJ is to make another presentation just in front of the overall innovator. So can I invite Ms. Lushana Chadasingh, Technical Coordinator for the Big E program, to come forward. Entertainment products is the category. And this category is won by Jovan Miller. Thank you. Okay, so may I call back Mr. Cross and Honorable Minister to join the podium. Minister, this is quite heavy, so maybe you should hold on. So the overall innovator has been won by Davia Brian Campbell, EduHub Company Limited. Congratulations. Yes, a very big round of applause for all our winners though we do have yet another one to come. But at this point, we are at a very important juncture in the event. We do have the main address to be staged and presented by someone who needs no real introduction. Save and except, I will recognize this presenter, the person presenting the main address, as the chairman of the National Commission on Science and Technology. Ladies and gentlemen, all, may I now invite the Most Honorable Andrew Holness, Prime Minister, to make the address.
Thank you. Thank you, Master of Ceremonies. Science is efficient, so I will adopt efficiently the protocols that were established earlier. It is my distinct pleasure to be here this afternoon to join this distinguished audience to acknowledge and commend the nominees and winners in the National Medal for Science and Technology Award, the Young Scientists Award, and the National Innovation Competition. This function, which is held every 2 years, was last held in 2018. But because of the pandemic, which it amazes me how quickly we have forgotten about the pandemic. It is as if it never happened. Such is the resilience of mankind. And of course, it goes without saying, and I'm sure you'll all agree, it was managed so well. Because of the pandemic, which interrupted our normal routine, these important competitions and awards were postponed. However, we are back together again in 2022, and I know we're all very pleased at the return of these competitions and awards. These awards place the spotlight on the importance of science, technology, innovation for the present and future development of our island nation. As you know, the government has consistently focused on doing what is required to grow our economy and create jobs and prosperity for our people. It is through continuous development that we can provide a better life for our people. Science, technology, and innovation play a vital role in the process of wealth creation, real economic growth, and the transformation of our society. Science, technology, and innovation is important for the development of any nation. Innovation means using new technology and using new ways of thinking to add value to an existing idea or product and to make substantial changes for the benefit of a society. Abraham Lincoln had said, "The best way to foresee the future is to create it now," which I think is one of the best explanations of the importance of innovation. The ability to resolve conflicts and solve problems through innovation is especially important for developing countries to embrace. Science and technology is the future. Innovation is the use of science and technology to create that future. So, when we analyze the history of the development of nations, the development of economies, the development of societies, we can trace some very discrete periods of innovation, the use of science and technology to create the future. The first industrial revolution is a great marker. We could have looked before that at the agricultural revolution and how that shaped societies. But let's start with the first industrial revolution and the use of coal to generate steam and how that totally revolutionized. The science was there, somebody did the innovation, created the engine, and that totally transformed the future of how mankind would live. Then, the second was the use of gas in the 1870s. And that, again, totally transformed the future and how societies functioned. The third would be the development of nuclear power and electronics. And that totally transformed the way in which societies operate. It transformed the future. And then we had the fourth industrial revolution. Notice I said had. For some countries, they have had it. They have moved on to the fifth. Countries like Jamaica, we're still in the fourth. And that would be the information age, the age of the internet, and renewable power. And that is, we are living in a period of time where innovation is changing our society. The best way to look at it would be, we are living in the age where the combustion engine might be phased out. Well, eventually will be phased out. And that lasted for hundreds of years. So we are going to inhabit, and our children, a new future. The challenge for countries like Jamaica would be, what did we add? What did we create? What did our scientists discover, develop, and add to the value of mankind? What problems did we solve? Or were we mere consumers of technology? I'm saying this because I wanted to point out the importance of this event. It doesn't matter that we're a small country. It doesn't matter that we're a developing country. We take great inspiration and great hope that small countries, developing countries, poor countries are leapfrogging and are adding value, creating the future that we will inhabit by innovating with science and technology. We can look at Singapore. We can look at Estonia. But we could also look at South Korea, a country 50 years ago that had a GDP less than Jamaica. A country that Jamaica lent money to in the 60s. But they understood the importance of investing and promoting science and technology and innovation. I don't think I need to say anything more. I think I've made all my points with that. But in February of this year, the National Science, Technology and Innovation Policy was approved. It sets the framework of action for us to achieve by 2029. It is designed to promote a sense of commitment in public and private sector institutions and individuals towards research and innovation as bases for human capital development, economic growth and job creation, international competitiveness, and the management and protection of the environment. It anticipates and embraces new and emerging technologies and innovation, including disruptive technologies, and it assesses their potential impacts, positive or negative, on national development. It places strategic focus on local knowledge creation, technologies and innovation, specifically those which advance our traditional and unique sectors, commodities and services, making them more internationally competitive. I guess that would be the breadfruit, non-intrusive roaster and peeler. I kind of like that one. I was actually hoping that I would see the end product of the peel, the breadfruit, but technology. It underscores the importance of incremental and adaptive innovation, placing strategic focus on identifying, acquiring, and adapting these innovations. It creates strategic alliances and linkages within the diaspora, recognizing it as an untapped resource for science, technology, and innovation development. The policy seeks to enhance the country's knowledge, human technology, and institutional capital forms. It facilitates access to capital for industry to use science and technology to foster innovation, strengthens the country's technology-related infrastructure, and support further the development of intellectual property strategy. And importantly, the policy seeks to ensure that the country uses science and technology to fast-track implementation of Vision 2030 Jamaica to advance sustainable development. This afternoon, I'm asking all who are gathered and all in my hearing, and particularly those in leadership position in the public and private sector who have responsibility for the implementation of the plan, to do so with a sense of urgency. Urgency is absolutely important when we talk about science and technology and innovation. It is oftentimes said that necessity is the mother of invention. And because something is necessary, built into that is some urgency. But more and more, what we are understanding, particularly for innovation, is that empathy is also a driving factor. And this empathy, it's not as we would ordinarily understand it as feeling sorry for or pity. But it comes from a deep understanding that there is human suffering, or there is a threat to our planet and environment. And therefore, we need to act now. That we could very well be the last generation of human beings that have the capacity to change the future for the better. And that's at the high level. For Jamaica, it is likely that technology will pass us by and we continue only to be consumers of it, never being able to gain the true value, economic, social value of technology. It is in the creation of technology, it is in the innovative use of technology that we will get our economic independence. So there is urgency involved. So I'm very pleased to see the awardees being acknowledged publicly for the entire spectrum of innovation using science and technology. I was told that I believe it's the Young Scientist of the Year developed a sensor that could detect in a small volume of water, is it lead and copper, and that you have some patents in the process. But that's what we want. And I'm certain, as I stand here speaking, about to close, that there are many young Jamaicans out there who are naturally creative, empathetic, curious, but they're not educated, trained. They're not brought into a formal system. They are natural scientists, but they're just not in the official system that we have here structured. And so part of the urgency is for us to bring them in. So it's good to have the competition at this level, but we need to have the competition at some lower levels as well to capture those emerging scientists. So I'm throwing that out to the council. So ladies and gentlemen, again, let me repeat, it was my great pleasure to be with you, to watch you have lunch. And I congratulate all the nominees and winners once again and encourage each of you to use your God-given talent to assist our country to grow and develop. One of my many dreams would be to see scientists, mathematicians, our programmers and our data scientists and our engineers be praised in the same way as we praise our athletes and musicians. That we value them. That we value them in the same way. I'm going to take a leaf out of Professor Young's speech, where he was about to say, and then he said, you know what, let me stick to my script. You could tell me afterwards. And if you're interested, then maybe I'll tell you afterwards. But I've said it before. I visited Singapore, and I was meeting with the Prime Minister of Singapore, and when I left, he put out a tweet, and the tweet was, "Just met with the Prime Minister of Jamaica, lovely country, they dance and sing very well." And then several tweets afterwards, top mathematics student in Singapore wins world competition. That tells the story. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Prime Minister. The time is now. So, without any further ado, and having some advice, some encouragement, some motivation from the Prime Minister, the Chairman of the National Commission, I am now going to invite Dr. Paris Leo Ayi to come forward. He is going to be giving the judge's report for the National Medal for Science and Technology.
Thank you, Fabian. Good afternoon, everyone. Most Honorable Prime Minister, Chairman of the National Commission on Science and Technology, and Minister Vaz, Minister for Science, Energy and Technology, all other protocols observed. Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Review Committee, comprising the Executive Committee of the National Commission on Science and Technology, I am pleased to present the judge's report for the National Medal for Science and Technology for 2022. The National Medal for Science and Technology is a special honor bestowed on Jamaicans who have made outstanding contribution in the natural and applied sciences, including engineering, by the Most Honorable Prime Minister. The recipient is an individual whose work has resulted in significant advances in the field of science and technology, and/or whose technological innovations have contributed significantly to the economic, cultural, and social development of Jamaica. The award is intended to highlight the importance of cultivating applications of science and technology as a means of national development. The call for nominations was issued in May 2022, and a total of 6 nominations were received. The nominees were shortlisted, and 3 finalists were evaluated by the Executive Advisory Committee of the NCST for appraisal and selection of the winner. The review committee was comprised of myself, Jimmy Wall from Lasco Manufacturing, the Honorable Robert Levy from Jamaica Broilers. Sorry? Best Dressed Chicken. Shara Watson from the SRC, and Marlene Street Forest from the Jamaica Stock Exchange. Scientist leaders from across academia, as well as the public and private sectors. We met at the beginning of November, Science Month, to make its final decision, culminating in this event this afternoon. Nominees were evaluated on the basis of contributions to the knowledge pool, contributions to the enhancement of science, technology, and innovation, social and cultural and economic impact of their work to Jamaica, lasting contribution of their work and innovation, and overall impact on contribution to the nation. It was noted that all nominees have made significant contributions in their fields and were worthy of their nominations. It would be the totality of impact. Oh, I'm sorry, Professor McLaughlin was also part of the evaluation committee. I'm sorry about that, Professor McLaughlin. It would be the totality of impact across all these 5 categories that the final selection would be made. A minimum score would have to be exceeded, something already done with the shortlisting exercise. This being the 5th awarding of the National Medal, we also had the advantage of looking at the lasting legacies of previous medal laureates and would weigh the addition of the winner among these notable Jamaican scientists. We were also satisfied that the process followed precedent set by past awardee selections, including the provision and review of the necessary background material of the nominees, and the awards scoring sheets and methodology were also similar to past reviews. We congratulate all the nominees, finalists, and of course the winner of this year's 2022 National Medal for Science and Technology.
And we will be presenting certificate of recognition to Professor Abraham Anthony Chin, OM PhD, nominee for the National Medal of for Science and Technology, November 17, 2022, for his work and outstanding contribution to scientific and technological research in the field of renewable energy and climate variability in Jamaica and the Caribbean, enabling data-driven renewable energy installation in Jamaica, advancing the Caribbean's understanding of climate change drivers, and promoting climate mitigation outlooks for the region. And this is the recognition being bestowed by the Most Honorable Prime Minister. Professor Chen is not present, so we will move to certificate of recognition to Dr. Andre Gordon, PhD, CFS, nominee for the National Medal for Science and Technology, November 17, 2022, for his work and outstanding contribution to scientific and technological research in the field of food science and technology, the development of market access initiatives in agro-food sector, the promotion of food safety and quality systems training in Jamaica and the region, for innovation and the application of science and technology in the development of products and preserves Jamaica's cultural legacy. Dr. Gordon, may I invite you to collect your certificate. Certificate of recognition also to Professor Michael Taylor, PhD, nominee for the National Medal for Science and Technology, November 17, 2022, for his work and outstanding contribution to the scientific and technological research in the field of climatology in Jamaica and the Caribbean, the development of climate tools, databases, and other climate resources, the promotion of a collaborative Caribbean approach in undertaking climate science and impact research, the advancement of climate change adaptation and mitigation efforts in Jamaica and the region. Professor Michael Taylor, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. And now, one of these three gentlemen may well be walking back to the podium. So the Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Andrew Michael Holness, is not the recipient. ONPC MP is pleased to award the National Medal for Science and Technology to Dr. Andre Gordon for outstanding contribution to research and development in the field of food science and technology on this 17th day of November, 2022. Congratulations, and may I now invite Dr. Gordon to make a response on behalf of the recipients.
Honorable Prime Minister, ministers, other distinguished guests, Minister Dunn, glad to see you here. Ladies and gentlemen, I am truly honored and humbled by this award. I was told that I had to prepare a speech. Those who know me know that I would like to say I'm a man of few words, but some of you might disagree. Robert. You know, on behalf of all of the awardees, and I know Professor Taylor, met him, we sit on a board, I didn't realize, and Professor Chen have both done exceptional work, so I am triply honored to have been selected in such distinguished company. My journey in science started at Titchfield High School, and always with an exceptional teacher by the name of Mr. Fulston, who was a chemistry teacher, who inspired in me a love for chemistry. And it continued at Arden High with the teachers there, among whom was a biology teacher, Verna Edwards, who instilled a love of the biological sciences in me as well. At the University of the West Indies, which followed, people like Professor Bob Lancashire, who was here, Earl Roberts, Professor Ken Magnus, as well as other lecturers in the Introduction to Food Science, Food Chemistry it was called, program, such as my friend, Mr. James Rawle, who is also sitting at the table with me, and Professor Mohammed Ahmad, inspired me to select food science, microbiology, biochemistry, as my vocation. After deciding in 1982 that I would no longer pursue medicine, although I had gotten in, I decided I wanted to make a contribution to Jamaica and the Caribbean's food processing sector. For both my acceptance to Cornell University, into which I was accepted in 1984, I think, and the Commonwealth Scholarship, I had to clearly enunciate why I wanted to do a PhD in food science. In 1983, I indicated, and I quote, to be able to assist the food industry in Jamaica and the Caribbean to be able to compete globally through the application of science to their production. With a lot of help and by the grace of God, I believe I have been able to accomplish this. I'm a very passionate person about education, science, and national contribution. Of course, the journey is not yet over. There are many, many more mountains to climb and things to be achieved. We do, after all, as the Prime Minister has alluded to and others, need to get Jamaica exporting enough goods and services to afford current and future generations a good quality of life here in Jamaica. As we speak today, TSL continues its journey towards the mission of transforming lives in the Caribbean region through the application of appropriate science and technology to health and enterprise. Having spent the better part of 25 years in pursuing this particular journey of transforming lives and economic opportunities across the Caribbean, creating jobs and helping to transform industries and sectors, we at TSL now want to bring this closer home and start building the future, or I should say continuing to build the future through our impact on the lives of the next generation of leaders who we hope will have a sound background and understanding of science and its possibilities. We are convinced, and have always been, that the Caribbean and Jamaican people have no limit in what they can achieve given the opportunity. We therefore see it as our responsibility to facilitate the achievement of these personal, national, and indeed regional development goals, not only through what we as a company do every day through the application of science, but also how we help Jamaicans and the region build its capacity to create a better future using the application of science and technology. As part of this mission, last year we awarded 4 scholarships to high schools at the start of our approach, as the start of our approach to making a tangible contribution while moving forward towards our long-term objective of having a transformative impact on the lives through applying science and technology by helping young, upcoming scientists along the way to realizing their dreams. The 4 scholarships were awarded to Arden High School in Kingston, Herbert Morrison in Montego Bay, Manchester High in Mandeville, all locations where we have offices, and Titchfield High School in Portland, covering the island. And this just represents the start of our journey. TSL, my company, intends over the coming years not only to continue to be path-breaking in the application of science to improving lives through health and enterprise, but also to directly impact the next generation of scientists in Jamaica and the region. And Prime Minister, I heard you about taking it down to the next level. We intend to partner with the Scientific Research Council in the coming year to make this a reality. In closing, I want to thank the Scientific Research Council and the persons who nominated me, who recommended me, particularly Mrs. Carol Rose Miller, Dr. Cliff Riley, Dr. Beverly Morgan, and Mr. John Mafood, and others. To my team at TSL, who have brought my vision bought into my vision and made it a reality. My gratitude knows no bounds. To the NCST for making this award, and to you, Prime Minister, for having selected and delivered the award. I am eternally in your debt. Thank you to the hundreds of companies and thousands of persons across many sectors that put their confidence in us and have made this journey fulfilling. None of this would have been possible, however, without the love and guidance of my parents, Mr. Justice U.D. Gordon of blessed memory, and Cynthia Gordon, my mother, who is still with us, thankfully, both of whom imbued in me the patriotism that underpins everything I do. To my friends and colleagues who have worked with me over the years, I say thank you. And finally, to my family, who have sacrificed much to allow me to do what I have done over many, many years. Particularly my wife, Dr. Diane Gordon, who is here today, and without whose love, friendship, tolerance, and sacrifice, this would not have been possible. Diane, thank you for being there for me, regardless. As they say, for better or for worse. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a day I will never forget. I thank you for making it possible. Thank you.
An honor well deserved. Most Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Ministers, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, my name is Fabian Brown, and it certainly was a sincere pleasure for me to have had the opportunity to hold the stage as your Director of Ceremonies. It is all left for me in the same vein to invite our Executive Director for NCST, Dr. Burrows, to come forward with gratitude.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have been warned that the Prime Minister is a busy person and I should not take long to do this. So, okay, but Most Honorable Prime Minister, Honorable Minister Vaz, who's left, and all the leaders of in the House of Representatives and leaders in the scientific community, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to move the vote of thanks this afternoon. There is a lot to be thankful for, and there is a lot of persons to thank. I go directly to my Prime Minister, who seemed to be a scientist, because you had so much knowledge of all the scientific innovations, etc., that has happened in the past. And I am really very grateful that you've taken the time to be here this afternoon and be a perfect example that we are having the support for science and technology from the very top. That actually brings a lot of confidence that this will go forward and we will have your support. To our Minister Vaz, even though he's not in the room, I really do have to say a special thanks to him. He has been very supportive, not just today, but in all the undertakings that we've been having with the Scientific Research Council, the Science Division in MSET and NCST. And we've been having several workshops for STEM education at tertiary level, and he's always been supportive. So I just want to say in his absence that I thank him very much for that. Our Chief Judge, Prof. Young, thank you so much for your diligence throughout the process and your advice towards the ways that we can improve this for the next time around. Dr. Paris Leyuayi, one of my favorite persons, thank you so much. Thank you so much for leading the team in choosing the awardee for the national medal. I know it was very difficult because the three persons who were nominated were well deserving, and it could have been any one of the three, but it had to come down to one person. Thank you so much. To all the judges, the lead judges, their support judges, to all who participated in the process, I would like to extend my gratitude. The media houses present here today, I thank you all for being here, and I hope you will take our message out, and that from the message that you will take from here, it will generate more interest in science, technology, and innovation in the general public. Of course, this award function would not have been possible without the generosity of a special group of persons, companies, persons. And I obviously you understand that I mean our sponsors. So thank you so much to Petrojam Jamaica Limited, and shall we give them a round of applause? The Development Bank of Jamaica, specifically the Biggie program, BMR Energy, Digicel, and of course Sagicor. We look forward to your sustained support, of course. To my partners at the SRC and the Science Division MSET, thank you so much, ladies, in particular, and your team, for the support and the encouragement, which I needed from time to time. Thank you so much. That was very well appreciated. To my staff, just three staff members and myself, thank you for your tireless work in planning and executing today's event. I know there were times when I pushed. I know there were times when I became very anxious, and when I get anxious, I push harder and I push harder. And I could see it on faces sometimes that, okay, take a break. But I thank you very much that you have managed to do this just on such a small team. We also are very grateful to the Pegasus Hotel for your excellent service. To our Director of Ceremonies, Mr. Fabian Brown, thank you very much. And a really very special thanks to my planners, Sparkers Productions. It says Sparker Light. You are certainly a guiding light to us as we prepare and plan and today execute this event. So thank you so much, Mrs. Peralto and your team. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, friends, supporters of science and technology, I thank you very much for your presence here. Asking you to come out in the middle of the day to sit here and for a couple of hours while you could be more productive elsewhere maybe. And you have turned up and you have supported and applauded. And so I thank you very much. A message I would like to ask you to take from here is that to remember to spread the word that science, technology, and innovation is a driver for growth and economic resilience, that we should be integrating our science in everything that we do, and all aspects of life should come to understand the significance of science and technology. I leave that with you, and I wish everyone a good rest of the afternoon. Thank you very much.